disorientation trainer. This helps pilots to Hello, this is a special disorientation trainer. This helps pilots to take experience of disorientation, and that will help them to cope up in real scenarios of disorientation so that it not impact in flight safety. This is a very important training path for pilots. Thank you. Hello, this is a special disorientation trainer. This helps pilots to take experience of disorientation, and that will help them to cope up in real scenarios of disorientation so that it not impact in flight safety. This is a very important training path for pilots. Thank you. Hello, this is a special disorientation trainer. This helps pilots to take experience of disorientation, and that will help them to cope up in real scenarios of
No, I think I will switch to the
Sir, are you all right?
you can see that the patient is developing some symptoms.
See?
Malalagnat ka ba?
Does anyone speak Korean?
This can happen in the air because the motion sickness affects or any gastrointestinal problems. A single passenger he can develop some effects of disease of abdomen and may start bleeding. So this is a normal issue or normal disease pattern can occur. Normal issue or normal disease pattern can occur. Normal issue or normal disease pattern can occur. স্কিল ডেভেলপমেন্ট হলো চলে একটা ম্যাজিক টেকনিক এবং এই ম্যাজিকে
In absolutely shocking news tonight, newly released
This footage captures a man being আমাদের সন্তানরা
A single prompt can turn into one of these viral box-style explainer videos. Here's how. Open Flyme and select script to video, type a prompt, paste your script, then choose your visual format. There are plenty. 5 minute দেখা লাগবে। Powerful website you
get up on it.
Is this the end? Do you think death means a long pause? Just sleep. Then his final him warned, and they walk away. The Prophet, peace be upon him, said, the dead person hears the footsteps of his family as they walk away from his grave, and then comes loneliness. Complete, total, unavoidable. The grave calls out every day, I am the house of loneliness, the house of darkness, the house of dust. Right now, your mother might be in her grave, your father, your grandparents. They raised you, sacrificed for you, loved you unconditionally. And where are they now? Are they at peace? Or are they waiting, hoping for your dua that never comes? Comment Ameen below right now if you're committing to make dua for your loved ones today. Stage 3, the questioning in the grave. Now the mourners have departed. The grave is sealed. Yusuf is alone in the darkness. For the believer, 2 angels, Munkar and Nakir, arrive. They sit Yusuf up and ask 3 fundamental questions. In Barzakh, your brain doesn't answer. Your heart does. Who is your Lord? Yusuf's heart speaks. How is this legal? একই হাইট বাড়ানোর ইনসোল, কিন্তু পার্থক্যটা বুঝবেন আসসালামু আলাইকুম। দেখুন, 50,000 টাকার কাজ আমি মাত্র 1200 টাকায় করেছি। এটা একটা আধুনিক নেট আমি বাড়ির ছাদে সুন্দর করে সেট করে দেখেন আমি কতগুলা দেশি মুরগি পালতেছি। আপনিও কিন্তু খুবই কম খরচে এভাবে নেট লাগিয়ে হাঁস মুরগি পালন করতে পারেন বাড়ির ছাদে, বাড়ির উঠানে। হাজার হাজার টাকা আপনার বেঁচে যাবে। এমন একটা সুন্দর নেট আপনি আমাদের থেকে নিতে পারেন। স্ক্রিনে দেওয়া নম্বরে যোগাযোগ করলে আমরা হোম ডেলিভারিতে পাঠিয়ে দিব আপনার ঠিকানা। আসসালামু আলাইকুম। দেখুন,
Okay, I just cheated.
understanding human factor is very much important. You should keep in mind that 70 to 80% of aviation accidents are related to the human factor. So human understanding human is very much important, as same as understanding the mechanical part or issue of the aircraft. You may think that your aircraft may perform constantly, but the human being, he is not constant. He or she has his own emotion, and there is always rhythmical change in his thought process. So understanding human biology for those who are flying or students, pilots, very much necessary. Next issue is the biological clock. So our human body is like a clock. Inside there is a clock, and this clock coincides with our 24 hours of clock system. So that's very much interesting part. So this biological clock is mainly affects different way in our body. It mainly rhythmically controls our sleep cycle, then different hormones, body temperature, and other physiological processes like neurological, our brain function, or function of the eyes, our function of the heart and lung, that is our respiration, our heart rate, our blood pressure. In vision, mainly we are saying about our night vision, and I have already mentioned our sleep cycle. So circadian means a day, and the rhythmical pattern that's occur in our body is the circadian rhythm. Now, who regulates this circadian rhythm in our body? Our sunlight is the source of main energy, and this light stimulates hypothalamus, a special part in our brain. So what happens? The light detects, it mainly stimulates the brain, then it releases a specialized hormone, non-melatonin. So when the melatonin is up, increasing melatonin causes us to sleep, and when this is reduced, we are awake. So if at night this melatonin hormone increases, so we go to sleep, we feel sleepy, and at daylight this melatonin hormone reduces. So this is an example of our circadian rhythm in 24 hours. I want to give you attention, have your attention, that at midnight you can see just before midnight at 100 hours or 200 hours there is increased melatonin secretion, and after that this secretion increases, and at 02 to 0400 hours this is the deepest part. Your body remains sleepy, the body goes lower metabolism, body temperature reduces, but these things changes in the morning. In the morning the melatonin secretion stops, our body becomes awake. At 1000 hours our cognition, our memory, our function, it becomes the highest. At 1200 hours you can see after that there is a deep, so there is another part that is interesting. Our body loses some function or alertness at afternoon. After that again the reaction time improves, our optimum type of physical performance is also can be seen at 1702 to 1800 hours. So this is our internal clock that acts in different ways. So this this graph will make you understand that the mid-afternoon dip and also the bigger dip that is at night when the melatonin secretion increases. So there is another level of deepness or reduction in the alertness level at noon that I have shown. So we can now see for the specific optimum windows of time where our cognitive function is highest, when our memory, our analytic processes, that will increase. So that is 00 to 1200 hours. Secondly, there is a vulnerable window of circadian low, that is WOCL, that is 1400 to 1600 that I have mentioned. This time there is physiological dip, there is transient loss in our vigilance. And third one is another optimum period at 1800 to 2100 hours. So there is a maximum physical strength, our reaction time increases, body temperature also increased. And at night, this is the vulnerable period, this is a time for us to sleep. So in context of Bangladesh, there are three seasons, mainly winter, summer, monsoon. I think in different countries, they can also correlate with their winter, summer, and monsoon. These three seasons, I think, prevails almost every countries in the world. There may be difference in the timing of the winter, summer, but I'm saying in context of Bangladesh, which is located just near the, just above our just latitude of this country is not so high latitude countries, just at the layer of the tropic. It's a tropical country, you can say. So at winter here there is late sunrises, early sunset. That means there is reduction in the daylight, and so foggy weather is also present there. And in summer there is long daylight, but problem is high temperature and humidity. In rainy season there is persistent cloud cover and high humidity rainfall. As a result, there is reduced natural light prevalence. So what happens in different seasons, specifically if I summarize, there in summer the sleep quality will be hampered, in winter your alertness will be reduced, in monsoon there will be higher workload, you may be easily fatigued, and whole day alertness may be reduced. So season is only one factor, but there are many more factors that can impact our circadian rhythm, like our operationally different shift work, long overday, jet lags, long haul you're flying. This can impact, and lifestyle like not taking properly the meals, dehydration, exercising just hard exercise just before the sleep, taking alcohol as much as possible without any knowing your own level to keep the brain active, screen time, this is important issue, and some diseases, stress condition, and drugs can affect our circadian rhythm. So these are the factors that I have already mentioned. These factors should be kept in mind. Sometimes whenever we are flying, we always try to react our body or reschedule our body with only that flying. I'm your flight physician. Today I will discuss about an accident. I think it's not an accident. It was a medical emergency in Southwest Airlines in Boeing 737. I think it's a very interesting incident. And as an aerospace medicine specialist, I think those who are enthusiastic about the medicine problems in the air and which may affect any pilots, you can easily understand how I give you the explanation. So let's go to the matters. The incident happened in takeoff of, it was taking off by a plane. It was Southwest Airlines, and they were flying to from Las Vegas. So the incident took place during the takeoff. So it was all about the takeoff. During the takeoff, what happens in the takeoff? In this plane, there is an instrument. It is called the head-up display, and this display is necessary because our pilots, they can from their seats, they can see what is going on outside, and there is different kind of parameters on the display. So this display is attached here. It can be movable, it can be moved, but it is mainly attached here. But the main part, it is very much, I think, it's not so heavy part, but another one is this part. It is also a part of the whole head-up display, HUD, but this part is the projector or the projection part, and this part is heavy for your understanding. This part is heavy and this part is little bit lighter. Now what happens during when they were taking off, if I go in this picture, you can understand. When the pilot was taking off, this is the display. At the time of taking off, there is also a head-up display part here. The taking off, this projector part has broken down, or it's a mechanical failure that is got down and it's directly hit the captain. So unfortunately, captain got hit from this heavy part of the plane, that is the head-up display. Now, what may be the problem of it from the display? There are several kind of problem they may suffer. What happened? The first officer declared here the incapacitation. That means the pilot who have been hit, the captain who has been hit, he cannot continue his function as a pilot. That is known as the incapacitation. So what happens when this got direct hit to the captain is as it has hit on the head? So there is brain, the most important organ of our body. This brain is also got the impact. So when the brain is got impact, several things may happen. And the first officer, he took control of the plane, and he told that the captain, he started seeing the stars. That means it is a symptom that is called dizziness, and he also had vomiting. So he vomited. That is a serious issue. When in a head injury, if a person vomits, that is a serious issue. That means he has got some type of seriousness in his injury, or he may loss of consciousness. So in first officer from illicit our control, we heard he didn't mention that how much conscious or there is any kind of loss of consciousness. He only mentioned at the end about the dizziness and vomiting. So, and he importantly mentioned about the incapacitation. So he declared the medical emergency. So in such cases, when there is incapacitation or there is head injury, you have to land the plane. You have to land your aircraft as early as possible, and you have to say it's a medical emergency. And if you heard the video of, if you see the video of the Captain Steve, he has mentioned clearly that there was some sort of, the lateness have been seen from the first officer. Like he hasn't declared it as early as possible. He didn't call Mayday or pen. He didn't call that things as early as possible. He only mentioned that there was some sort of he want to land. So I think their situation awareness of the first officer can also be questioned. So ultimately, nothing dangerous happened. All the aircraft with all the crews, they had landed safely. Within, I think, 17 minutes, they have landed. And after the landing, what happens in sorts of cases that the medical arrangement was done, he was urgently taken to the hospital, and the CT scan of the brain has to be done in such cases to rule out that from impact, if there is any kind of hemorrhage, there is any kind of other sort of injury in the head, and there must be a period of observation of the pilot who has been hit for any kind of complication. These complications may be epilepsy, he may got the seizure activity, convulsion, or he may forget things, amnesia. These things, complications are very much important for the pilot's future flying status, because these complications, if arise during flying, it may certainly affect the flying safety. So doctors or flight physician, what they do in such cases, they classify the head injuries. It may be mild, it may be moderate, or maybe severe, according to his presentation, and all the necessary investigation like CT scan. These will help to classify his injury, and this, according to his injury, his future disposals for flying will be given, and it will be assessed by an aviation medicine specialist, neurologist, avimed specialist, neurologist. They will see his status. Some mental, psychological, psychiatrist also will come here. They all will see his status, physical status, and then his disposal regarding the future flying due to his injury will be given. So whatever may be such incident, such small mechanical failure, you can understand how deeply this thing has impacted, has taken an impact. So I would like to thank Captain Steve. He has given us some videos of beautiful, incidents. And as an aerospace medicine specialist, I am giving my opinion from my point of view. So I hope you have learned something and enjoyed. Thank you very much. I am your flight physician today. Hello everybody, this is Imran. As protective measures like health. Hello everybody, it's Mohammad Imran, and today I welcome you all as a flight physician to a most important and beautiful video about the history of aerospace medicine. As an aerospace medicine specialist, I have been asked this question from many side of people that what is this subject and from where this subject has evolved. As we have heard, medicine in different aspects like cardiology, it's maybe neuromedicine or neurology or rheumatology. There is many divisions of medicine, but aerospace medicine, people get amazed that what is there and how it has evolved. So today I will make you and give you an opportunity to understand how this thing has been evolved. So in 1804, the history started when the balloon has gone to the atmosphere, and that time Angioli, Bracetti, and Zambicari, they reached 6,000 meters by balloon, and they observed the effect of inhuman being in space, the frostbite, the vomiting, difficulty in reading the barometer, candle didn't went out, and a person who had been in this experiment, they became unconscious. So it was devastating, but it gave the base for future research. Then in 1862, it is the Glacier and Coxel, also in the balloon flight, they observed that in 5,640 meters, the pulse rate increases, palpitation happens, there is effects of hypoxia, like hands and legs started becoming bluish, sickness arrives, and extreme fatigue, and arms and legs become too cold. So with the time, things are getting evolved, and that time we heard about the father of medicine, the Paul Bart. He has shown us the way that the change in the pressure in atmosphere, the air which is present in that atmosphere, in that pressure, it cannot support the life. Decompression, the sickness arises in the body due to nitrogen release in the body, and in the altitude sickness, the problems in the joints, which is known as the pains, or taking oxygen, too much oxygen may cause poisoning, decompression chamber will need that, and studying about the effect in the body. His student lost his spinal and severe died of hypoxia due to lack of oxygen. So definitely they have studied, they have go beyond their beyond our imagination to study the effect of atmosphere. So you can understand that how much sacrifice has gone for foundation of aerospace medicine. In 1908, Lieutenant Thomas Selfridge in the US Army Signal Corps, he became the first fixed-wing aircraft accident victim during Wilbur Wright's demonstration. He sustained a massive head injury. So the effect of aircraft accident has been studied from 1908. So they investigated the accident and recommended the development of the protective measures like helmet, head protections, so that our pilot, they leave and they can successfully land with their aircraft. So flight surgeon, this topic or this issue has been evolved that time, and he has been a part of this aircraft accident. In 1915, in World War I, the Germans used strict aviation medical selection and achieved success. They strictly chosen who are medically, physically, and mentally fit, those pilots, in respect of Royal Air Force pilots. So what happened is there were more casualty in the Royal Air Force pilots. In response to that, Germans they had less casualty. But the Royal Air Force, they evolved, they understood the problem, and what they have learned from the World War I, it has been changed, it has been implicated in World War II, their error has been reduced. So they have now been more selective, they have given importance to the medicine, especially aviation medicine, for the purpose of the proper health of the and selection of the pilots. Then in 1939 to 1945, it was World War II at that time. There were major advancement, as advancement in the aviation sector also happened there. Major advancement happened. There was rapid growth of aeromedical support, identification of different problems in the space, development of different systems like restraint systems, seat systems established there. Physiological training was established there so that they become more prepared, the pilots. They don't suffer from altitude sickness and other problems. There was a study, it was a parachute study. The flight surgeon, Dr. Levelisi and Dr. Boynton, they have seen that after jumping at 40,000 feet, and you can see another sacrifice. Dr. Boynton died due to extreme cold at this high temperature. But it gives us an important result that in low altitude, for a parachute opening is recommended. If you do it in upper area, or it should be done at minimum 14,000 feet. If you do it in upper area, there will be hypoxia and cold hypothermia that may kill you. In 1942, Dr. Hans von Hoheim developed world's first jet engine in Germany. So these jet engines also created a new dimension, because then the ejection seats have been used. There were some medical aspects, wind blast or injuries. They created a new challenges in aviation medicine. G-force also created a new thing. It affects the human body, especially the pilot. So these things, innovation was started, and thinking process have been developed more. So in modern era, like in 1961, we have started that leaped into the space. So the human being, the change in their shift in their health system of astronauts' health has been also a crucial issue. And space shuttle program, it also helped in 1970 to improve the space medicine and physiology of human body. In 1990s, the aircraft the demands of physiological support, and it has been improvised. And in 2000, advanced human factors engineering, it helps us the aircraft design and safety. In 2001, International Space Station, new era where more research can be done, and in case long duration in humans staying in the space. In 2010, the research in neuroscience, cognitive performance, and spatial disorientation advances flight safety. In 2020s, the digital health monitoring, AI, and predictive analytics support aircrew health and mission readiness. So the newer things have been implicated after 2000 and 2010, 20s, and now on, the more focus is going on the safety. It's a mental health, resilience, wellness, and also improvement in the technology. So what I want to say that if you see the whole, the history, it's not a big history of aviation PDC. It's like only, I think, you can say around 200 years only. So a subject that has been developed with the increase of with the development of the time, development of the society, development of the technology, you will see a new and newer innovation and thing in aerospace medicine. So that's why as a flight physician, I love this subject, because there is an opportunity, there is scope. You can learn more, you can do research more, and you can create an impact both in the space and in the aviation sector in the near future.
This video is brought to you by War Thunder. An Air India Boeing 787 lines up on the runway in Ahmedabad. 9 hours to London ahead. Air India 171, clear for takeoff. The plane is clear for takeoff and it accelerates down runway 23. But seconds after takeoff, something inside the cockpit goes terribly wrong. Why did you turn it off? I didn't do it. And the flight is doomed before it even climbs out of sight. To understand what really happened, we've built a full 3D reconstruction of the final moments. We've recreated the city, the airport, the crash site, and the aircraft's trajectory by stabilizing and matching every frame of available footage. And we found something interesting in the simulation that doesn't match what the prelim report says happened that day. This is a reconstruction of Air India Flight 171. It's 12:30 p.m., 12th June 2025, Ahmedabad. Boarding begins for Air India Flight 171 to London Gatwick. This is one of just 5 weekly flights connecting Gujarat to the UK's huge Indian diaspora. On board today are 230 passengers and 12 crew, business travelers, students, and entire families. But this plane will never make it to London, because by 1 p.m., the cabin doors will close, and by 1:40, the aircraft will be gone. The crew signs in at 11:55 a.m. for mandatory breath tests, and they both pass without issue. In command is Captain Sumit Sabharwal, 56 years old, and with more than 15,600 flight hours, over half of them on the Boeing 787. To his right sits First Officer Clive Kunda, just 32, with 3,400 hours in total and 1,100 on the Dreamliner. Aviation runs in his blood. His mother flew for Air India for 3 decades. It's an experienced crew flying a familiar route. But in less than 15 minutes, a small action between their seats will decide the fate of this flight. By 1:10 p.m., refueling is done, baggage is loaded, boarding is complete, and the cabin doors are closed. The crew have taken on 54,000 kilos of fuel for the 9-hour flight to London. The plane weighs over 200 tons. It's heavy, but still within operational limits. Today is a hot day. The temperature is 36 degrees. Hot days like today make the air thin. There are fewer air molecules available to lift the wings, and there is also less oxygen for the engines to use as well. What this means is that the plane needs more speed to be able to take off. And given that the plane is heavy, Air India 171 will need to use the entire 3,500 meter length of runway 23. But that said, this is also well within the capabilities of the Boeing 787. The plane pushes back at 1:18 p.m. On the bay, the captain moves the 2 engine switches to run. Both engines spool up with an unmistakable whine. Air India 171, taxi via Papa, Romeo 4, line up and wait, runway 23. As the aircraft rolls along the taxiways, the crew complete the before takeoff checklists. The speeds to note are V1 at 153 knots, VR at 155, and V2 at 162 knots. After backtracking on runway 23, First Officer Kundar performs a 180-degree turn to position the plane for takeoff. At the far end of the runway is the airport perimeter wall, and beyond that is a dense neighborhood of Meghani Nagar. Visibility is 6 kilometers, winds are light at 240 degrees and 6 knots. It's a perfect day for flying. Air India 171, winds 240 at 6, runway 23, clear for takeoff. Clear for takeoff, runway 23, Air India 171. Takeoff clearance is issued at 1:37:33, and 4 seconds later, First Officer Kundar advances the thrust levers. The plane begins rolling down the runway, and the countdown to disaster begins. What you're about to see is a detailed 3D construction of Flight 171's final moments, recreated second by second, frame by frame. This is Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel International Airport here, built in 1:1 real-life scale. This is runway 23 here, and the crash site is 1.7 kilometers away over here. These two structures in red are the student canteens, referred to as buildings A and B in the interim report. Behind them are the 4 student dorms called buildings C through F in the report. The tall chimney here is the Army Medical Corps incinerator, and this small patch of trees right next to the chimney would be the first point of contact. It's 1:38 p.m. and the canteen of BJ Medical College is packed with students having lunch. At the airport nearby, Air India 171 has just taken off and is now at its highest point, just above the airport perimeter wall. As it crosses the wall, the plane begins to lose altitude and it starts deviating towards the left. This camera here is placed exactly on the extended center line, and the deviation to the left is quite clear. I'll explain my theory about this deviation later in the video. Just a minute later, at 1:39:09, the plane is almost near the ground, and it makes first contact with a bunch of trees inside the Army Corps compound.
Do cabin crew need to be beautiful? I've worked in aviation for 6 years, and here's what I've learned. Airlines don't hire based on looks anymore, but they do need you to be well-groomed, polished, and approachable. Because when someone's having a panic attack at 35,000 feet, they need to trust you instantly. Do cabin crew need to be beautiful?
At 35,000 feet, your brain can start dying before you even realize you're in danger. At 35,000 feet, your brain can...
I've crossed 6 time zones in 3 days and my body has no idea when to sleep. 22 years flying long haul, I've learned that changing seasons mess with pilots in ways passengers never see. Winter routes mean taking off in darkness and landing in darkness. But come summer, the same flight path happens under endless daylight, and suddenly my circadian rhythm can't anchor to anything. So we rely on blackout curtains in hotel rooms and strict sleep schedules, even when it feels completely wrong.
Ever wonder why they let you drink alcohol on a plane? I fly several times a year and this always gets me. It all comes down to control. The airline knows exactly what you're drinking, how much, and when. Ever wonder why they let you drink? Why do skin doctors?
You ever wonder what actually happens when lightning slams into a plane?
Ever wonder why Airbus planes shout retard at pilots during landing? It's not what you think.
Marrying a pilot might be the smartest decision can be ever made. Yes, there are goodbyes at odd hours and quiet birthdays, but there's also someone who sees the world differently, who comes home with stories. The independence build makes your spouse stronger, not lonelier. Marrying a pilot might be the smartest decision can be ever made. Yes, there are goodbyes at odd hours and quiet birthdays, but there's also someone who sees the world differently, who comes home with stories. The independence build makes your spouse stronger, not lonelier. Marrying a pilot might be the smartest decision can be ever made. Yes, there are goodbyes at odd hours and quiet birthdays, but there's also someone who sees the world differently, who comes home with stories. The independence build makes your spouse stronger.
Did you know astronauts actually grow taller in space? Without gravity, the spine is no longer compressed. The vertebrae spread apart, making astronauts grow. Did you know astronauts actually grow taller in space? Without gravity, the spine is no longer compressed. The vertebrae spread apart, making astronauts grow up to 5 centimeters taller. But there's a problem. This stretching causes back pain and increases the risk of injury when they return to Earth. In space, even your height is temporary.
In space, astronauts can't just pee like we do on Earth because there's no gravity. On the International Space Station, everything would just float away. So they use a special toilet that works with suction instead of gravity. Astronauts pee into a funnel connected to a hose, and airflow pulls the urine safely into a storage system. But here's the coolest part. Nothing goes to waste. The urine is actually filtered and recycled into clean drinking water. That means the water astronauts drink today might have been someone's pee yesterday. And during spacewalks, they wear a special absorbent garment inside their suit, just in case. Space life is weird, but incredibly smart.
Imagine dunking a basketball while floating in zero gravity. I've been obsessed with how sports would actually work in space for years now. The thing is, everything we know about sports gets flipped on its head up there. But that's exactly what makes it so incredible. So engineers are already designing arenas that use the whole sphere, not just a flat court. The future of sports isn't just on Earth anymore.
Hello everybody, how are you all? Today I am your flight physician, welcoming you all to share a very important and I think interesting fact. And it is the fact that's coming to my mind in the view of we are now experiencing that the whole world is experiencing an historical moment of Artemis mission when our four crews, they are going towards the moon, and after 50 years they're going there, and around of the moon they will come back to
Did you know astronauts actually grow taller in space? Without gravity, the spine is no longer compressed. The vertebrae spread apart, making astronauts grow up to 5 centimeters taller. But there's a problem. This stretching causes back pain and increases the risk of injury when they return to Earth. In space, even your height is temporary.
Sleeping in space is harder than you think. Astronauts see 16 sunrises every day aboard the ISS. Without gravity and normal day-night cycles, the body's sleep clock gets disrupted. That's why astronauts use sleep schedules, masks, and medication to avoid dangerous fatigue in space.
Ever noticed astronauts' faces look swollen in space? Without gravity, blood and fluids shift upward toward the head. This causes puffy faces and blocked noses. At the same time, their legs become thinner, called chicken leg syndrome. In space, body fluids completely redistribute. That is the reason behind the problem.
Can a human give birth in space? Short answer, not yet. No human has ever been pregnant or delivered a baby in space. Why? Because microgravity changes everything. In space, blood shifts toward the head, hormones behave differently, and muscles, including the uterus, may not contract normally. Bone loss, radiation exposure, and fluid shifts could seriously harm both mother and baby. And then there's the baby. Without gravity, normal development and breathing at birth could be extremely risky. So until we understand pregnancy, labor, and newborn care in microgravity, space birth remains science fiction, not science fact.
Ever wonder how astronauts survive in the harshness of space? It all comes down to their incredible spacesuits. These suits are like mini life support systems, keeping them safe and sound. First, they provide oxygen, so astronauts can breathe easily. Next, they regulate temperature, protecting them from extreme heat and cold. They also shield against harmful radiation from the sun. And let's not forget about pressure. Spacesuits keep everything balanced. With all these features, astronauts can focus on their mission. So next time you look up at the stars, remember the suits that keep them alive.
Being an astronaut is incredible, but it comes with some serious health challenges in space. Muscle and bone loss are common due to the lack of gravity, making exercise crucial. Astronauts work out for about 2 hours a day to combat muscle atrophy and bone demineralization. The heart can weaken too, leading to issues like feeling faint returning to Earth. Vision problems, known as SANS, can affect some astronauts, causing discomfort and changes in sight. In space, the immune system can weaken, increasing the risk of infections. Gut health can also suffer, with changes in microbiomes leading to potential issues. Microgravity can impair wound healing, making recovery slower. Radiation exposure is a big concern, raising the risk of long-term health problems. Space motion sickness is common, causing nausea and disorientation during flights. Isolation can take a toll on mental health, leading to stress and sleep disturbances. Astronauts often need medication to help them sleep in the unique environment of space. Microgravity can alter taste and smell, making food less enjoyable. After long missions, astronauts may deal with dry skin and delayed healing. Subscribe and like the channel to learn about more fascinating health issues of space.
Why can't astronauts cry normally in space? Because in zero gravity, tears don't fall. On Earth, gravity pulls tears down your face. But in space, there's no gravity, so tears stick to your eyes. They form giant floating bubbles, blurring vision and causing burning and irritation. Astronauts describe it as painful, not emotional relief. Instead of crying, tears just collect and spread across the face. That's why astronauts have to wipe tears away immediately. Even emotions behave differently in space. Space doesn't just change your body, it changes how you feel.
As fluids shift towards the head in microgravity, the increased intracranial pressure causes the optic nerve to swell and the back of the eye to flatten.
Ever wonder why astronauts come back to Earth needing glasses? It's called SANS, or Spaceflight Associated Neuroocular Syndrome. In microgravity, your body fluids don't stay in your legs, they rush to your head. This fluid shift increases pressure on your brain, which literally flattens the back of your eyeballs and